Yes, guys, this is Check-In-Chats. Now, I'll tell the truth, I'm looking you lot dead in the camera. When was the last time you checked in? We want you to come down and check in on the sofa, not just on a, but really check in. Myself, Chris, you know what time it is. Don't worry, I'll wait. But listen, I've got my host, my co-host. What we say, Leets?
You know, for me, I like to get involved in things that are relatable and real. Do you know what I mean? And it's mad. I guess you lot need the backstory to this. So this is the first time me and Chris are ever meeting in person.
Facts.
But we've already exchanged money, spoke for hours on the phone, and planned this day. Networking can be done, and it's a beautiful thing when you believe in yourself and believe in something.
No, and the worst thing about it, like I said, you know I stand by that, and just even the way you just said, the way that we linked up, it was that time. The fact that we committed to something without even seeing each other, without even knowing, but we knew, like you said, real recognize real talk truth season, do you know what I mean? So for me, it was essential that we had to do this.
Yeah.
And when we even spoke about certain things in our life, and when we spoken about certain things of just them checking in, it was just nice for me to even talk to you and just check in.
We done that organically and naturally just on the phone.
And I didn't even know you from Adam. Like, man was just
we
letting
know things about each other.
Listen.
Before we've even met each other.
100%.
That's what our ethos, this platform is for. We've got to a point in the journey, them check in, man, like, because we always think in our head over and over.
100%.
Yeah, we would always talk to that second voice in our head over and over. Everything that's building up inside you, there's no way for it to...
For us to even vent, for us to come out. And that's what I was trying to say to you when I was talking to you on the phone, like, a year ago, I had to let go of the ego and the pride. And for me, it was literally one of the most hardest moments, because I'm sitting there and I'm laying in a hospital bed and I'm sitting there saying to myself, as a man, as a protector, as a provider, and I had to look at my missus and say, Ro, you're going to have to take the lead, you know? Like, as a man, it crushed me. And these are the kind of times when I didn't have no one to check in, so I'm just curling up in a ball and getting more depressed. Each day I can't get better because I'm feeling more depressed that I'm not stepping up.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I decided to go out online and say, you know what? This is what's going on.
And when you done it, how did you feel?
The worst thing about it, the way that I felt before doing it, I was hiding away. So I was like, I didn't even want no one to see. And the more and more I was doing it, the more and more everyone was just like, what's going on with Chris? What's going on with you? And when I actually pull it out, I felt like, like it was a sense of relief.
And what happened with the response? How did it make you feel?
The response was crazy, because it was two different responses. I got response of people hating on man, laughing at man on my downfall. You know, one's there like, oh, look at you, I bet you bleach your skin, all the rest of it, you shouldn't took the vaccine. I'm sitting there thinking, raw. But there was a blossom of a flower on the other side of it. Other man them started coming out in my DMs and saying, yo, big man suffer of psoriasis, you know. Yo, big man feel like I got a little bit of a lump down there. Yo, big man. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like the same thing. Do you know what? My missus has got this. I suffer with lupus. Loads of people started coming out about autoimmune, and I'm like, wow.
It's good to understand or have knowledge of what somebody else has gone through, because you might have to go through it.
100%.
One thing, when you told me about lupus when we was on the phone talking, and then I went and looked about it, it's like, I didn't know that lupus lays dormant in your body. I didn't know that it can actually be triggered at any time.
Any point, any time. Lethargic. 1 minute you're good to go. Next minute you're taking naps like you're a 3-year-old, 4-year-old. You wake up some days you're good. Next day you're in pain. That's when I said to myself, we have to change our diet. Man can't start be looking good on the outside. Man want to go barbers and flex and, yeah? Man's going Selfridges and Gucci. Yeah? Gucci wasn't saving me. Yeah? Selfridges wasn't saving me on this one.
Yeah.
Man, I had to save myself.
How do you look at life now?
I don't take anything that deep anymore. It's not that deep. Like, when I was on the borderline of having nothing, everything that was a major thing to me, it could be a small thing. Sometimes the missus just left the fridge, and I'm like, how do you leave the fridge open? Like, this doesn't even make... Man's looking to go mad on it. It doesn't make any sense. I was really controlling in the way that I like certain things, but then now I look at certain things, I'm like, it's not even that deep.
Yeah.
I had a deep conversation with her, and she was just like, Chris, like, I didn't know whether you was going to die or not. And then even when you was going to die, you had so much aspirations of what you wanted for our son. I was sitting there thinking, how am I going to get out of London now? How am I going to do this? And I was like, I wouldn't want you thinking about that if I was gone. And it broke my heart to know that she didn't know certain things. If that was ever the case, I said, don't you ever feel like that.
And you know what's beautiful is, can you see and people, can you see this? When you communicate and you open up and you check in, it allows you to then transfer that to other parts of your life. So we started that conversation about Lupus, about Chris, but now we're talking about how he communicates differently with his wife, his missus. If we go all the way back now to the start of this, ego and pride, mandem, it's not a pissing contest out here, first of all.
Tell him.
It doesn't matter who can piss the furthest. All this watching everybody else, and like Chris just said, when you try to, I don't know, kick a man while he's down, throw salt in his wound, like what is it you're actually getting out of that? Or are you actually doing that to cover up your own insecurities or your own mishaps that's happening in your life? We have to, as mandem, as mature mandem, as if you're real and real recognize real. So this is only for the real ones. This isn't for anybody who ain't real. If you really love life and you've been, when I say love life, you know, Chris, it's not about, oh, the best things, who can pop the most expensive bottles and have the biggest VIP table or the biggest car.
And that was the question I was just about to ask you. When did you know that you loved life? Or when did you let that pride or that ego go?
We go through a lot, and I've said this to you on the phone. I believe that our 20s, our 30s is our build-up to our 40s. And in your 40s, I don't know, people call it a midlife crisis, yeah, but I haven't had a midlife crisis. My son will tell you I have, because I bought a quad. He'll tell you that I had a midlife crisis, but I just bought something that I liked.
That you wanted.
I do believe that your 20s and your 30s is your build-up, your lead-up to your 40s, where you become a real man, as in mature level of a man. Do you understand me? Because you have to go through a journey in life to get to that point.
To get to that experience in the first place.
To be able to have those type of conversations, or to even look at life differently. If you haven't been through nothing, broke, death, relationship problems, do you see where I'm coming from? How can you? So for me, my real turning point was when my mum died.
Wow.
Because I know that life can be too short. I was always been there for my kids, so I'm not going to say my kids made my life change, but my life actually changed through death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes life in that kind of sense just lets you know that we missed that point, you know? We always think that there is more time. You know, once there, you know, when I lost my dad last year, like, I used to think there was more time. You know, once there, like, literally, when he came back into my life, he hasn't even been in my life for 30 years. Him and my mum got back together after 30 years. It was so good to have him back in my life, but there were still certain moments. I'm driving past the yard and man, go and check man tomorrow still. But man never checked in. And then it was that regret that I sit there and say to myself, there were so many things that I wish I would have said. There were so many things I just wanted to say to him, like, thank you. You know, once there, thank you for standing on something. I had so much built up resentment of the years that I've missed that I didn't actually appreciate the time that I had. Man, don't always have to be putting on this tough boy act every single day, because it's not real.
I think this tough boy act here, and I guess again it comes through your journey. I think it is to do with society, parenting as well, is a big factor, because I do remember back when my mum used to say to me, like, boys don't cry.
But this is it, come on.
And it's like, you got to be tough. You got to be a hard man. So if you think about all of the things that show you that a man's got to be this tough person, as you grow up and you grow through that, the way that we transfer that out is, all right, cool. It's on everybody.
No, I like even where you're going.
I've got to be tough with everybody.
No, but this is it.
And everything.
So is that a part of, even we can say, the first steps of young men as having trauma?
Yeah.
So is this a starting from? And I love that, the fact that you even said that, because from when I was young, man, don't cry. You know, one's there, suck it up. You know, one's there. Even when I lost my brother at a young age, 6, I was just told, suck it up. You know, one's there.
How many men have you seen cry that you love?
None. But they've all cried.
In silence.
Do you understand?
In silence.
Of course.
Behind closed doors.
100%.
In a dark room. I know there's going to be enough man them right now, if they've got this far into this conversation, because it's going to take episode after episode. It's going to take talk after talk.
Come on.
And I'm not asking anybody to come and sit on this sofa, yeah, and tell me your prized secrets.
Yeah.
I just want you to come and conversate. Just talk about the things that are going on in your brain that you're like, and I don't know if I can let that out. When you really deep it, if I'm of any type of emotional intelligence, if I'm any type of human, I'm not going to sit here and laugh after your downfall.
Come on, man. And that's when we don't see that enough within males. They feel like, oh, man's going to just laugh at man. Or man's going to, oh, man's full off. Man's talking about, he's all loved up and everything, but it's okay. It's okay to feel like, rah, I miss my kids. It's okay to sit there and be like, I'm having a down day, man. I'm depressed, you know?
100%.
Like, things ain't going right in my life, brother. I've been trying to get that job. I'm stuck in this job. I've got baby mother's dramas going on at the moment, or I've got relationship problems and I really want to check in because I love her, you know, man. And I want to put in that effort and put in that work. But as a society was saying that, rah, if you start doing too much, man's looking at, oh, man's a pick me and all the kind of rest of it, and all these things that we throw out when it's like, make the relationship work for you. If you've got someone that loves you, let them love you.
The consequence of it is, obviously, the most deepest consequence, which I've lost 2 friends to suicide. If you pent all of this up, it comes out in other ways. It will come out in neglecting your children, or neglecting your partner, or alcohol, or violence, or drug abuse.
Yes.
And you won't even realize that you're doing any of these type of actions, because what you're doing is using that as a suppress to suppress whatever it is that's going on.
Facts.
And then you get lost in that cycle.
Facts.
So you don't even look at it as, what are you talking about? So I'm just having a blowout. I'm just having a blowout. Like when I was depressed, and because I obviously, music is part of my life, yeah, and DJing and whatever, I can remember going out every weekend and blowing up, and I would just come back and say, it's a blowout. When really and truthfully, all I was doing was drinking to suppress whatever was going on in my life.
Facts.
And not dealing with it.
Facts. Sometimes that's the hardest thing, because we've got to put our hands up as well, man. And sometimes we don't know. But it's okay not to know.
No, but if we don't communicate and talk like this,
Yeah, I understand.
how do we move forward? How do we actually make change? In certain respects of my life, when I look back, I thought that, you know what, I can deal with it on my own. It's not a problem. No, I'm a private guy, you know. Do you understand me? No, what are you talking about? Man's seen too much to have to, do you know what I mean? Like, and who else can help me anyway? Even down to therapy.
Come on.
Up to the age of 45, I was like, these people are from the suburbs. They've been to uni and they've learned all this in books. How can they help me? They ain't been in my jungle.
Facts.
They ain't walked in my shoes.
Facts.
They ain't faced what we face.
Facts.
And then I realized, you know, when you go to therapy, right? They just regurgitate everything you say and make you see it from a different perspective.
100%.
They got no magic wand. There's no fixing it. They don't tell you what to do.
And what I love about it, they simplify it and make you see how basic it is, because you try and make it look like it's a wheel, tangle web, up, down. They just present it back to you. And you're actually sitting there and you're saying to yourself, do you know what? It's true. We've all got work to do. And that's okay. And I think that's the starting point, when it's like, it's okay for you to pick up the phone call and say, man, I need man to check in right now, you know?
Not when it's good. Not when it's my birthday.
Thank you.
Not when there's a party or a barbecue. Not when there's an event going on. I want you to just check in sometime, just randomly. And you know what is and we all neglect this, but I guess as well, we also are good at the facade.
100%.
So we have to take accountability ourselves
100%.
of making it look like we're okay.
Facts.
You feel me?
Facts.
So we have to take accountability.
And it is. And it's a lot. It's a lot to say, I'm not okay. Because then that means, like you said, I have to deal with it now then.
100. And it's all right to be vulnerable, especially if you're around your closest. Do you understand me? Obviously, I will always say this, and it's like drinking alcohol. And I teach this to my son. There's certain environments you can't drink alcohol and be wasted because you're vulnerable in that moment, and that climate will, if you're in that place, you become a victim.
100%.
So always know where you are and where you're about and how safe you will be if you become that vulnerable.
And then you do have friends like that. You got to check in and know who your friends are, because if you know that you're going to call a man and he's going to tell you to do something wild, you know, what's there, then that's probably the wrong friend to call. Do you know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10, man, them do say that, like, rah, I've been vulnerable, but I've called up a next man and he's just game from it. You know what's there? Oh, lock them off, bruv, and do whatever, or let's go and eat. You go and do something because you need that money, but you don't need my man to say, like, the first thing, let's go and do it. Eat. You need the man to sit there and say, bruv, you do this time and time and time again. Let's address the actual problem of why you keep going through this.
I remember my mum, God rest her soul. I was vulnerable in front of my mum one time, yeah, and I broke down. And it was about my father. And my mum turned it around on me and got angry. My mum had this defense mechanism of get angry and tell me to fuck off, right? That was her defense mechanism when she didn't want to talk about something. And I'll never forget, this was the one time I broke down and said to her, look, I just need to know the answer to these questions. And then she said, well, you wasn't the only one in school or something like that was from a single parent family. And I was like, you will never, ever see me vulnerable like that again.
Wow.
Like, because if my own mum, the person that gave birth to me, is not hearing me or seeing me or understanding, all you want to do is push back on me, I just said to myself after that day that she would never see me that vulnerable again. And I say that to say that there's a lot of women out there that use a man's vulnerability against them.
100%.
Instead of just being there in that moment and realizing that that was probably the hardest moment for that man.
100%.
But then they will, in a quick moment, because let's be real, women know how to push your button.
100%, throw it back in your face.
They know how to push your buttons.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I'm not out here to bash women. That's not what this is about. That is actually for me to make you women understand that it is really hard for a man to be vulnerable. And if you use that and throw it back in his face, you've lost him.
100%.
Just like my mum lost me in that 100%. Moment, she would never see me vulnerable again.
I think that's a deeper point that you even made, man, seriously, because a lot of men do want to sometimes open up, do want to sometimes be vulnerable. A lot of women are saying you're not emotionally available. They do want to be emotionally available, and then the day that they do, it gets thrown back in their face like, raw, like, you get me? Remember when you told me you was going to commit suicide? Next time, don't tell me. It's like, raw, like, yeah, remember when you said you hated your whole family anyway, you don't even like your mum. Like, man, it took me a lot to break down bread with you, and then for you to now be throwing it at me. So it is that consciousness, and I don't believe that any woman should be sitting there Preddie feeling around a man and making sure that, oh, okay, I can't say that. But like you said, if he is being vulnerable enough to respect that, do you know what I mean, and honour that and know that, right, it's took a lot for him to come forward.
And on the flip side, us men, we need to realise and start to get a bit more emotionally in tune that not everybody thinks like us or the way you think, and that other people have feelings. Because we as men, we're quick in our practical and logical
100%.
Sense, the way we think, to quickly disregard somebody else's feelings. Do you see where I'm coming from? Because we think that, what are you talking about? Why? But hold on a minute. But do you see where I'm coming from? But
facts.
Because you think a certain way.
Facts.
Do you understand me? So you ignore how the other person feels. We as men, we need to really try to home in on that, because I think that even around all of the mandem that I know, we all have that trait. We all have that trait of disregarding the person's feelings, and it doesn't matter whether that's woman or man.
Deeper one still. And what do you think would be even now? What do you think would be the first thing that we can give out to any man them right now that's just sitting there thinking, raw, like, man's got stuff going on? What would be the first step?
First step is knowing that you can actually read yourself better than you're reading yourself now. As in knowing that, yo, I do feel vulnerable right now, and speaking that out loud, even if it's to yourself. Not in your head, but out loud. Even if it's in the mirror, to yourself. Like, raw, I'm vulnerable right now, you know. I really need a different angle on this. But what's the best angle for me? Do you understand where I'm coming from? It might not be therapy. It might just mean that you need to check in.
Don't be afraid to sometimes step outside that circle. You know, no one's there. Like me and Leach are sitting there saying right now, do you know what I mean? We met outside that circle.
Yeah.
You know, don't think that everything can be solved in that kind of way. Like you said, it could be going to a group. It could be going out a little bit more, because you might be that type of person that you've depressed and you've stuck yourself in the yard. You're not even coming out no more. You don't even want a reason. It's okay. Step out. That might be your first thing to be checking in and be like, no, I need to check in on my health. I can't sit at home all the time pondering on certain things. Do you know what I mean? Go out there, speak to other men. There's other groups out there. There's man them like us. Check in on us, because we'll tell you for free. You're not alone. We'll tell you for free. You ain't suffering in silence. I told you for free. Man's bawled, man's cried, man's Yeah, man's done the full 9 works, do you know what I mean? To a point, the missus looking at me like, all right, big man, all right, raise your head now, though. Raise your head now, because it's been a lot of crying, bruv. You know what I mean? It's there, a lot of days. I so much son that my son sees me with tears in my eyes, and I have to let him know as a young boy that it's okay to let that emotion go, because we all have emotions. Yes, we do have anger. Yes, we do have happiness and sadness, but we are only for men. We're only allowed to have the basics, do you know what I mean? But no one doesn't say that. Do you know what? Sometimes you're going to be feeling frustrated. Sometimes you're going to be feeling distraught. Sometimes you're going to be feeling a wreck. And all these kind of emotions, it's okay to feel that.
It's about understanding them, overstanding them. Do you understand me? Like, because I think where, like you just said, where we don't do none of that, it becomes, I guess we become detached from all of those. We become so far detached or put something else in place that maybe now we don't even understand them again.
No, 100%.
So when we talk about checking in, it doesn't mean that you got to sit down there and tell me your life.
100%.
It just means you're checking in, and it might just be about the actual things.
Yeah.
Like whether it's, we talk about what depression is and what the signs are, or
100%.
it doesn't matter what parameter we're talking about. It might just be surface level.
Could be surface level. Could be just checking in and just talking about footy. I'm seeing my friend right now. Do you know what I mean? He's going through it right now, and he's just like, do you know what? I don't feel like I can be happy. Do you know what I mean? He said, I feel like every person and everyone around me always abandons me, Chris. Do you know what I mean? And then now I always have to have a check-in and everything, and I have never done it, and I should do it, and I haven't done it enough. And I just had to send man a voice note and say, I love you, you know. Like, our friendship, I value it. I appreciate you. Anytime I phone, you're there. If I need something, if I need advice, if I need help, and I appreciate you, King. Man just called me back, bruv, and said to me, bruv, you know now me, because I know you're pushing it onto me, see, but he said, I cried 3 times, I had to listen to it 3 times over. He goes, bro, I was crying, bruv, because it was so nice to feel like someone cares.
I think things happen naturally. I believe that we've linked up and we're here for this reason. I wanted to leave this one.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing, because
I told him that I loved him. I want that to be the opener to the next episode, because that's a big thing that I believe men don't do. So, Checkinnchats. This is the platform. This is us. I'm Lito.
I'm Chris. Mandem, you know what to do.
Come on, man.
Come and check in. Sit down on the sofa, man. Check in with us.
It's needed. It's needed. Like, real recognize real.
And real talk truth season.
Until the next episode.
Wow.
Peace.
Love.
Real recognize real.
And real talk truth season.
Until the next episode.
Wow.
Peace.
Love.